Hear me now. Do not treat these words as another moment to skim, for the thunder of eternity leans into this very breath you draw, and I call you into silence, because what I must reveal cannot wait. And if you keep scrolling past this voice, you will not realize until too late that I was the last warning before the shaking begins. And so I command your spirit with a trembling urgency. Stop everything and let my whisper strike deeper than the loudest noise that has numbed your heart. For this hour is marked by heaven, written in the unseen books. And I tell you plainly, child, what is unfolding now is not coincidence. It is my hand reaching, my spirit pressing, my kingdom calling your name so sharply that you cannot dismiss it as chance. And though you try to explain away the restlessness in your soul, I reveal to you that it is my holy pressure, for I have seen the distractions drowning you, the world seducing you with 1,000 glowing lights that blind you from the one flame that keeps you alive. And you think you can postpone me until later, yet I expose the lie now. There is no later. There is no delay left. The next hour carries weight heavier than years, and heaven shouts for your ear because I have aligned angels to deliver what you begged for in hidden tears. But you must open now, for hesitation will rob you, hesitation will cost you, hesitation will close the gates that mercy still holds wide. And you do not see the battle raging over your choices, but I do. I see the enemy whispering compromise, promising ease, disguising traps as comforts, and you have underestimated how quickly destruction can descend. But I, in my fierce love, am standing in the gap, crying out to you with a voice stronger than death itself. Awaken, awaken, awaken. For the sound of my call shakes not just the walls of your room, but the foundations of your destiny. And if you would bow even now, if you would drop the pride, the excuses, the false strength, you would taste the fire of revival that I am pouring without measure. Yet it is not for spectators. It is not for those who toy with me as background noise. This is for those who tremble and say yes with urgency, and I speak directly into your bones. You have asked for confirmation, and this message is not random. It is me interrupting your routine. It is me proving I see you, I hear you, I know you, and I am unwilling to let you slip further into numbness. So I rip away the veil and declare this hour holy, sacred, burning, charged with eternal consequence, and I shake you awake with the gravity of what is coming, because what heaven demanded was your ear, but what I demand is your surrender, and you will either yield and live or resist and be swept away by the very storm you thought you could outrun. Therefore I stretch forth my pierced hand once again. I extend mercy hotter than fire, and I command you, child, look into my eyes through these words and understand this. The next breath is a gift. The next moment is critical, and I will not repeat this knock endlessly. For doors close, seasons end, and this one is closing fast. And so I cry, listen, listen, listen. For this silence I call you into is not empty but filled with my voice. And if you dare to still yourself and open your soul, you will feel my nearness like lightning, urgent, unrelenting, refusing to leave until you finally decide to say yes. And from the stillness I commanded you, and feel how the unseen presses closer, for the heavens lean near with trembling urgency, and the rhythm of eternity's clock pounds louder than any heartbeat within your chest, warning that this hour is not an echo of yesterday but the unveiling of what was written before time began. And I do not exaggerate when I tell you that the air itself is heavy with prophecy. The sky carries weight, creation is restless, and angels hover as if holding their breath, waiting for your response, because I, the Lord who never lies, am declaring that the countdown is not abstract. It is moving with sharp precision, and you cannot silence it by ignoring me, for the sound of my timing invades every corner of existence, demanding recognition. And though you attempt to escape into busyness, laughter, or endless scrolling, the vibration of my call pierces deeper than distractions, shaking the ground of your soul, and this pounding you feel within is not anxiety, but my divine alarm resounding to shake away complacency. For I am bringing you into a revelation that your hour is not like every other. It has been carved in the unseen chambers of heaven as a pivotal turning point, and every delay has brought you to this intersection where choices will decide whether blessing flows or barrenness devours. And so I say, do not mistake the rising tension around you as random chaos, for the tremors you feel are the signals of destiny colliding, and when I tell you the heavens lean close, I reveal that angels bend toward earth, listening for your decision, because what you utter, what you release, what you choose in these fleeting minutes is being written into eternity's record, and the sound of heaven's clock striking is not background noise but the announcement that mercy's window is narrowing, grace is calling louder, and the weight of your tomorrow rests on whether you bend your ear now. And I expose to you, child, that this vibration, this roaring silence pressing your heart is not fear but my holy presence awakening you. For I refuse to let you drift into destruction while eternity cries out for your attention. And so I announce again with fire, every beat, every tick, every strike of the hour is demanding your soul's answer. And the heavens will not relent, the angels will not step back, the spirit will not quiet down until you decide to yield. For this is not the voice of chance but the roar of the eternal King, declaring that the hour has arrived, the strike is here, the demand is upon you, and if you heed it, life will break forth in measures you cannot imagine. But if you resist it, the silence that follows will not be empty, but filled with regret that you ignored heaven when it bent low and cried out for your ear. And so I say again, lean close, stop running, hear the pounding of eternity, because this hour is unlike any before, and you will not escape its weight, for the sound is upon you now. And as the vibration of that eternal strike reverberates through your spirit, you must understand that what approaches is not gentle twilight, but the rapid assembling of shadows, gathering with unnerving speed, swirling around nations, families, hearts, and even your own hidden chambers. And while darkness thickens, I declare that my light is not shrinking but pressing harder, breaking through barriers, piercing layers of deception, and demanding space in the very places you tried to cover with distractions. And I tell you plainly, this contrast is intentional, for I allow the gloom to rise only so the brilliance of my presence may be undeniable. And as the unseen battle tightens its grip around your hour, know this: I am not passive. I am not waiting silently. I am actively flooding the edges of your path with radiance that cuts through confusion. And if you dare to open your eyes beyond fear, you will notice the piercing beam of my truth splitting the darkest corners of your night. And this confrontation between gathering shadows and advancing light is the very sign that you are standing at a decisive moment, where neutrality is impossible, where compromise is exposed as empty, and where your allegiance is forced into the open. And I, the Lord, am not whispering gently but pressing relentlessly, declaring that you cannot hide within grace spaces anymore, for the line has been drawn, and you must stand either drenched in my light or consumed in the ever-thickening shade. And I say again, child, do not misinterpret the pressure you feel as random stress. It is the clash of realms. It is heaven colliding with earth. It is the cry of my kingdom demanding entrance while the enemy claws for final territory, and you stand as the deciding ground, your yes or your silence becoming the soil where either hope or despair takes root. And so I shine brighter, fiercer, hotter, because I will not surrender you to darkness without one final surge of illumination. And though shadows rise like waves, my brilliance rises higher, pouring beams so sharp they cut lies into fragments. And what you must know in this very moment is that I am giving you vision beyond ordinary sight, the ability to perceive what flesh cannot see, that every dark cloud circling your mind, every whisper of hopelessness around your future, every pressure suffocating your chest is not the end, but the evidence that my light is breaking in. And if you will turn your gaze, if you will stretch toward me, you will see the glow expand, swallowing what once terrified you, because my light does not flicker weakly. It consumes, it dominates, it swallows despair whole, and while the shadows gather quickly, my fire presses harder, and I will not retreat. For this very moment is marked by breakthrough, and your choice determines whether you walk into that radiance or collapse into the thickening night. Therefore hear me with trembling seriousness. Let go of hesitation. Tear down the covers you built. Step into the blaze of my presence, because what is rising in you now is not destruction but deliverance if only you open, if only you yield. For I am pressing, I am invading, I am breaking through, and I will not stop until the shadows bow before the brilliance of my glory released into your surrendered heart. And as that blaze forces back the advancing dark, I tell you with fire in my voice that I am shaking the very foundations you once leaned upon, tearing apart the fragile supports you trusted, dismantling the false pillars you thought could carry you. because I will not allow you to remain deceived by structures that cannot hold when the storm intensifies. And though your heart trembles as the ground beneath quakes, know that my hand is behind the shaking, for I am stripping away everything unstable so that only what is rooted in me may remain. And you may feel as though the security you clung to is being ripped away, but in truth I am delivering you from illusions that would have destroyed you when pressure mounted. And I expose to you right now that careers, possessions, reputations, and even relationships you exalted above me cannot be the rock you build upon, for they crumble under weight too heavy for them to bear. Yet still you tried to balance on them as though they were eternal. And now I intervene, shaking, rattling, removing, so that you will finally stand upon the only ground that cannot move, myself, the unchanging Christ, the cornerstone rejected by many yet chosen by heaven. And as I shake, I hear your cries, your fear that all is collapsing, but I whisper within the thunder, child, I am not destroying you. I am saving you from destruction, because if I had left you untouched, you would have rested upon sand that deceived you with temporary strength, and when the flood came, you would have fallen with no recovery. But I love you too deeply to let that happen, so I send trembling through your comfort zones. I send disruption into your routines. I send dismantling into the idols you did not realize you built, for I refuse to let false gods steal you from me. And though your hands clutch at what is slipping, I urge you, release it, let it fall. Do not fight against my shaking, for what I remove is not loss but deliverance, and what remains after the quake is pure, unbreakable, eternal, anchored in the rock of my truth. And while everything else trembles, I remain unshaken. I remain steady. I remain the refuge you need. So run into me as the only tower that cannot collapse, and understand this hour. The shaking is not punishment but mercy. The quaking is not wrath but love, because I am rescuing you before greater collapse arrives, and I demand that you discern it. If the ground beneath you trembles, it is because I am aligning you with eternal stability, and if the idols fall, it is because I am jealous for your soul, and I declare with severity, you cannot keep leaning on broken reeds, you cannot keep drinking from cracked wells, you cannot keep standing on sand, for I am shaking also you may finally know that nothing but my word, my promise, my presence, my covenant endures, and this is why I confront you with urgency. Stop resisting, surrender in the quake, lift your eyes to the mountain that cannot move, for I am not only shaking what is false, I am establishing you on what is eternal. And though you tremble now, you will thank me when the greater storm passes and you remain standing because you learn to trust the only foundation that never falls. And from the tremors that stripped away every false support, hear what follows, for even as the ground settles beneath your spirit, a louder sound rises above the earth, the cry of my messengers, the resounding urgency of angels, their voices woven together like waves of thunder rolling across the heavens, and they are not singing quietly but lifting a fierce declaration that time cannot be wasted, because they see from realms beyond sight the storm that rushes toward you, and they cannot remain silent while you hesitate, and so their cries pierce the unseen, echoing down into your very soul, demanding attention, for they stand on the edge of eternity, watching how close the line has come, and they shout with fervor that you cannot treat this hour lightly, because they have witnessed the unfolding scrolls, the movements decreed by my Father's hand, and they tremble at the nearness of fulfillment. And these angelic cries are not distant, child. They surround you even now, brushing your spirit, stirring your restlessness, igniting your awareness, for their voices have been assigned as alarms, and their very presence testifies that heaven itself is not indifferent to your condition. And though men may laugh at warning, though society may scoff at urgency, the hosts of heaven do not laugh, they roar, they wail, they declare with shouts that break through silence, because they know what your eyes cannot yet perceive. And while you attempt to quiet that strange stirring in your chest, it is their cry resonating with my spirit, refusing to let you fall asleep, for I have commanded them to cry out until you cannot escape the urgency, and their voices join with mine, saying that the hour is not casual, that decisions cannot be postponed, that eternity stands closer than your very breath. And I want you to understand, beloved, that these cries are not meant to terrify but to awaken, to stir you from the haze of indifference, to tear you from the grip of slumber that blinds you to reality, because the angelic chorus is the sound of love wrapped in urgency, the sound of war wrapped in mercy, for they are contending for your soul with holy zeal, and I reveal to you that even now, round the throne, their cry ascends like fire, demanding that your ears open, that your heart yield, that your will bow, for they will not stop until you either resist with finality or surrender with humility. And so the cries of angels rise with urgency for your attention now, and you cannot pretend you did not hear them, for their sound has already pierced your quiet moments, their warning has already unsettled your nights, and their shout has already collided with your thoughts, leaving you unable to explain away the weight you feel, because their mission is precise: to herald my word, to announce my movement, to prepare you for what only obedience can align you with. And I say, do not harden yourself against the sound. Do not drown it out with noise. Do not bury it beneath distractions, for these cries are not endless. They are concentrated into this very span of time because the Father has appointed this moment as critical, and once the cries lift, once the angels fall silent, the weight of responsibility will rest fully upon your response. So take seriously what you hear, for the cries are rising now, wrapping around you, filling this hour with warning that cannot be ignored, because the next step you take, the next choice you make, the next whisper you release will either align with the roar of heaven or fall into the silence of rejection, and that decision will shape the path before you in ways far greater than you yet comprehend. And as the roar of those angelic cries still echoes through your spirit, know that I, the Lord, have seen the secret rivers that poured from your eyes when no one else was near, the hidden tears you tried to wipe quickly so no one could perceive the heaviness you carried. And I tell you this night that not one drop has been ignored, for I collected every tear in my hand, and they rise before my throne as testimony, demanding a response in this very moment. And because of that record, I am moved to intervene, not tomorrow, not eventually, but now, in this very breath. For your weeping is not meaningless release. It is the language of your soul crying out for what words could not hold. And I was present in each sob. I heard the ache behind each tremor. And I bring this into the light so you will never again believe the lie that you were unseen. For I declare with fire that your anguish has been registered in heaven, and the cries that no one else heard shook the halls of eternity, compelling the Father's heart to move. And though people may have dismissed you, abandoned you, mocked your pain, or told you to get over it, I never turned away. I never grew impatient. I never forgot. Instead, I drew nearer in the midnight hours, pressing my presence beside you. And now I tell you, those hidden tears have reached their fulfillment. They are demanding that heaven act, and I am releasing answers you have long thought delayed. But because the time is urgent, they are arriving with swiftness. Yet you must not miss them by hardening your heart. For this is not the hour to stay in despair. It is the hour to stand and recognize that your tears were never wasted. They were seeds. They were offerings. They were alarms that triggered my intervention. And I am here now, breaking into your reality, declaring that sorrow will not define the rest of your path, because your tears were not weakness but signals that you belong to me. And though you thought no one understood, I remind you that I, the man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, felt each wave of your pain as my own. And now I bring comfort sharper than the wound, joy deeper than the loss, and hope fiercer than the grief. For I am the one who turns mourning into dancing, ashes into beauty, despair into psalms of praise. And I tell you that the next movement of your life is shaped by this very hour, because the tears you shed in silence are about to become the testimony of restoration. Yet I warn you with seriousness. Do not cling to sorrow when I offer release. Do not clutch despair when I extend renewal. For if you stay bound to yesterday's grief, you will blind yourself to today's breakthrough. And I long for you to see that what I am doing now is not comfort only but transformation, not relief only but elevation. And those tears that demanded my response are the very reason I am speaking this urgent word over you. For I will not allow your weeping to be ignored. I will not allow your heartache to be buried without redemption. I will move. I am moving. I will answer. And I am answering. And what I am about to release will prove to you that I never left, that I never forsook, that I never abandoned, but rather I waited for the appointed moment to show you that the cries you thought no one valued were in fact the alarms that shook heaven. and because they demanded my response, I stand before you now, declaring that this very hour carries the weight of fulfillment. And if you yield, if you receive, you will see that every tear you thought wasted has become the fountain of the very breakthrough you need today. And from the place where your hidden tears have drawn my immediate response, look now at what surrounds you. For the storms that press against your life are not accidents or random misfortunes, but divine alarms sounding in the atmosphere, announcing that you cannot stay asleep any longer. And every gust of opposition, every wave of confusion, every sudden shaking around you is designed as a trumpet blast to awaken you to urgency. For I permit these winds not to destroy you but to alert you, because you would not have lifted your eyes if calm had remained. And I, in my jealous love, will not let you drift further into slumber, so I allow the clouds to gather, I allow the waters to rise, I allow the thunder to roll, all to snap you out of the dangerous illusion that you could survive without my covering. And though you may cry that the storm feels unfair, hear me. It is mercy disguised as chaos, for while you perceive turmoil, I see the alarm sounding, the wake-up call roaring, the siren declaring that the hour is too critical to waste, and I speak to you with gravity. If you keep interpreting these storms as punishment, you will miss their purpose, for they are signals of my intervention, invitations to take refuge in me. And the truth is this: the enemy would rather you stay comfortable, because comfort dulls your discernment. But I shake the atmosphere around you so that you will finally seek shelter in my presence, and I assure you, though the storm howls, I am in the midst of it, steering its course, measuring its force, and limiting its reach so that it shakes you without destroying you, pushes you without consuming you, and all of it to drive you toward my arms, because I will not let you drown. I will not abandon you to the flood, but I will use the raging waters as the loudest voice to say, come under my wing before it is too late. And child, I need you to understand the urgency, for the storms are not passing shadows. They are prophetic warnings that time is collapsing, and I am pressing you into decision. And the longer you resist, the more severe the alarms must become, because I cannot allow you to perish in indifference. So I command you, do not despise the storm, do not curse the thunder, do not hide from the lightning, but interpret them rightly as divine alarms shaking you awake. And if you will listen in the chaos, you will discern my whisper guiding you through it. And if you yield in the tempest, you will find that I am the one walking on the waves, calling you higher, drawing you closer. And though the storm surrounds, my presence sustains, and while the world trembles, my hand steadies. And you will see that every storm permitted in your life was not designed to ruin you, but to rescue you, not meant to end you, but to redirect you. And in this very hour, I declare with severity, do not waste the storm, do not ignore its alarm, for it has been sent to awaken you before the greater shaking arrives. And your response now will determine whether the storm becomes your ruin or your rescue, for I stand within it, crying with urgency that you must take shelter in me, because this hour is the warning, and heaven demands that you hear it now. And as the alarms of the storm still echo in your chest, I must uncover this truth. You have lived as if time were an endless reservoir, as though tomorrow were guaranteed. Yet I tell you now with fire in my voice, the breath you are inhaling is sacred. The moment unfolding before you is charged with eternity, and the deception that you have more time has lulled countless souls into graves of regret. So I break that lie over you right now, for you do not hold control over the hours, and the measure of your days is not in your grasp, but in the hand of my Father who numbers them. And I expose the illusion that has kept you passive, thinking you could delay surrender, thinking you could postpone obedience, thinking you could ignore conviction, and still turn when you pleased. Yet I reveal the danger of such arrogance, because every second slipping through your fingers is unrepeatable, every breath is a gift signed by grace, and you cannot waste it under the presumption of endless tomorrows. For I declare with sharpness, there is no later, there is no distant someday, there is only the now that heaven is pressing into your spirit, and this now demands awakening, for eternity leans upon it, and angels bend closer to record your response, and demons wait in anticipation to snatch the undecided. And while you tell yourself that tomorrow is safe, I tell you the next blink is not promised. And that is why I shout with urgency, do not gamble with the lie of more time, because the next hour carries more weight than all the years behind you. and what you decide in this span will echo into dimensions beyond your imagination. And I say again with trembling intensity, the next breath is sacred, it is holy, it is stamped by heaven as decisive, and if you treat it casually, you will miss what I ordained for you in this precise moment. And I warn you in love that the adversary rejoices when you delay, for delay is his weapon, procrastination is his chain, and every excuse you whisper becomes the rope that tightens around your destiny. But I, the Lord, tear through those chains with this word, declaring that hesitation ends here, that the illusion of later collapses now, and I am calling you into decision with no delay, because my Spirit is upon you in this very breath, pressing you, urging you, convicting you, and you cannot brush me aside without consequence, for the eternal books are being written even as I speak, and heaven records your posture, whether you yield or resist, whether you embrace or ignore. And child, I reveal this to you not to terrify but to awaken you, for my desire is not your ruin but your rescue, not your loss but your life. And that is why I pierce you with these words, to shatter the deception that you own time, when in truth, you live moment to moment under mercy. And I will not let you waste another second under the lie of comfort, because the breath you are drawing now is evidence that my grace still covers you. And the fact that you are hearing this voice proves that eternity has granted you one more chance. So take it, seize it, do not let it slip away, for the next blink is not guaranteed. But this moment is yours, and what you do with it will determine what comes when time for you runs out. And since I have torn away the lie of endless tomorrows, hear me now, for my hand is stretched toward you in this very hour, extended with tenderness yet carrying the full authority of heaven. And though I reach for you with love that has no limit, hesitation on your part will cause that opening to close before your eyes. And I tell you plainly, child, there is danger in delay, for the window of mercy does not remain forever open, and every second you linger between surrender and resistance is a second where the enemy lays deeper snares to capture your heart. And while you debate whether you will yield, darkness prepares chains that will be harder to break. So I cry out to you with severity, do not pause where you stand. Do not weigh whether obedience can wait, for hesitation is the thief of destiny. Hesitation is the blade that cuts off the blessing prepared for you, and hesitation will cause the gates now standing open to swing shut, and when they do, the regret will echo louder than the warning you hear tonight, and I stretch my pierced hand toward you again and again. But you must understand that even my patience carries boundaries, and I will not compete endlessly with your distractions, because to delay is to insult the blood I poured out for you. To delay is to treat lightly the sacrifice that cost everything, and I will not be treated as background noise in your life. For I am the Lord who demands your whole heart, and my hand is stretched not for casual acknowledgement but for your full surrender. And I reveal to you that if you grasp it now, if you reach back in this sacred hour, you will be pulled into a place of safety, a place of breakthrough, a place where every snare breaks instantly. But if you choose to hesitate, you risk watching that hand withdraw, leaving you to the traps you thought you could handle alone. And I do not say this to terrify but to awaken you to the reality that grace is costly and holy, and when it is offered, it must be seized, not dismissed. And I want you to feel the weight of this choice, because angels stand ready to record whether you will take hold or turn away, and demons crouch at the edges hoping you will stall long enough for them to drag you deeper into despair. But I am louder, stronger, nearer, stretching my hand in defiance of their schemes, declaring that this is the moment of decision, and I need you to understand, beloved, that hesitation has already stolen enough from you. It has robbed you of peace, delayed your healing, strangled your joy, and hindered your calling, and I refuse to let hesitation rob you any longer. So I thunder from the heavens that now is the time to clasp my hand, to abandon delay, to step into surrender without reserve, because what I offer cannot be earned later. It must be embraced now, and if you will stop resisting and grasp the hand extended, you will see chains shatter, you will feel burdens lift, you will know the nearness of my presence in ways you never imagined. But if you let hesitation win, the cost will be heavier than you are prepared to carry, for the gates that stand wide will not remain that way forever, and when they close, the cry of regret will be unbearable. So I plead with you, do not delay, do not hesitate, for my hand is stretched out this very instant, and it longs to rescue, restore, and redeem before the moment passes. And since my hand has been extended and hesitation has been exposed as the thief of your future, I must tell you that you cannot treat this moment as ordinary, for this hour has been stamped by heaven's decree as decisive, carved into eternity as a turning point that cannot be undone. And while men may treat time as casual, heaven does not, for there are appointed hours where destinies shift, where seals are broken, where records are written that shape generations, and you stand inside such an hour now, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. And I say with holy weight that this is no ordinary breath you are drawing, no casual day you are living, but a divinely marked moment where choices echo beyond you, where silence or response will ripple outward into eternity, and I command you to discern it. The atmosphere is charged because angels are watching. The throne leans closer, and even creation groans as it waits to see what you will do. For this hour holds authority over more than you realize, and I reveal with fire that destinies are decided in moments like this, when the Spirit presses, when heaven calls, when eternity demands your answer. And if you dismiss this as common, you will trample on sacred ground unaware. But if you recognize it, you will step into alignment with a destiny greater than anything you imagined. For this hour is decisive because heaven has written it so, and I warn you with sharpness. You cannot drag this into tomorrow. You cannot treat this as one option among many, for what you ignore in this span will set patterns that may not be easily broken, and I love you too fiercely to let you think lightly of it. So I lift the veil and show you what is happening. The scroll of your life is open before my Father. The ink of angels writes even now, recording your posture, your response, your surrender or your resistance. And while you imagine this hour is like any other, it is not, for heaven has called it decisive. And what happens in these moments will define your path, whether you walk in blessing or stumble into despair, whether you rise in purpose or sink into regret. And I do not speak this as exaggeration, but as truth sealed in eternity. For I know the weight of what is unfolding, and I cannot let you walk blind. And so I cry again, you cannot treat this hour as ordinary. You must awaken to its holy gravity, because heaven has already stamped it as decisive. And your response is not just about you, but about the lives tied to you, the generations that follow you, the souls that will be touched by your yes or hindered by your no. And so I declare, child, that this is the hour where heaven leans closest. This is the hour where angels roar. This is the hour where eternity bends low, demanding your ear, demanding your heart, demanding your surrender. And if you heed it, you will step into rivers of grace that cannot be stopped. But if you ignore it, you will walk away carrying the unbearable weight of a sacred moment wasted. So hear me. This hour is decisive, stamped by heaven, carved into destiny, and it demands everything from you now. And because this hour has been stamped as decisive by the courts of heaven, I must uncover for you what follows if you treat it lightly. For what is dismissed in this sacred span does not vanish harmlessly. It turns into a weight that will chase you tomorrow with sharper force, and every warning neglected today becomes a chain heavier to break in the future. Every conviction ignored now becomes a louder voice of regret later. And while you tell yourself that silence costs nothing, I declare to you with piercing authority that silence costs everything. For the opportunities you bypass, the obedience you delay, the surrender you postpone will not simply fade into the background. They will rise against you like waves, pressing harder, demanding repayment, and what you thought you could avoid will circle back with multiplied intensity. And I am warning you in love. Do not let tomorrow bear the burden of what you refuse to face today, for the cost of neglect increases with every passing hour. And while grace is abundant, it is not cheap, and when you push it aside, you store up battles that will return fiercer, storms that will roar louder, pain that will cut deeper, because heaven does not allow indifference to go without consequence. And I reveal this with urgency, not to condemn you but to awaken you, because my longing is to spare you from the heaviness of regret, to deliver you from the torment of looking back and realizing you at an open gate you never walked through, a stretched hand you never grasped, a voice you never obeyed. And I tell you now with the weight of eternity behind my words, what you ignore tonight will pursue you tomorrow, and you will not outrun it. For the seeds of negligence grow quickly, and their harvest is bitter. And though I stand with mercy extended, I will not rewrite the truth that ignoring me now sows consequences later, and I cry out to you, child, hear the seriousness of this moment. You cannot brush aside my voice without it shaping your path, and the enemy rejoices every time you delay. For he knows the neglected voice of God becomes the doorway to deeper bondage, but I, in my love, pierce through this danger, declaring to you that you must not let this warning pass. You must not carry into tomorrow what demands your surrender today, because each time you push me away, the walls around your heart grow thicker, the chains around your soul grow tighter, and the enemy's grip grows stronger, and I will not stand silent while that happens, so I expose it now. If you dismiss this word, the very things you flee from will overtake you. The very fears you try to ignore will magnify, and the very weight you postpone will return heavier. And I, in my compassion, speak it before it happens, so you cannot say you were not told, so you cannot say you were left without clarity. For I am warning you clearly, what you ignore now will chase you with multiplied force. But if you yield now, if you answer now, if you bow now, the chasing weight will be broken before it even forms, and you will walk into freedom instead of chains, peace instead of torment, joy instead of regret. But the choice rests with you in this decisive hour, for the warning is plain. What you ignore tonight will not vanish. It will return tomorrow louder, heavier, stronger, unless you yield to me right here, right now. And since I have revealed that what you ignore will rise against you with heavier force, hear what presses next upon your spirit. For my spirit is not whispering quietly at the edges of your life. My spirit is pounding on the door of your inner being with relentless urgency, refusing to be silenced, refusing to be treated as background noise, and the pounding you feel is not coincidence but heaven knocking, and every thud against your conscience is my voice demanding entry. For I will not stand forever outside the door while you entertain distractions inside, and though I approach with love, I also approach with fire, and I strike the door of your heart with holy force, and the vibration of that strike is why you feel unsettled, why peace eludes you, why no distraction satisfies, because my spirit is shaking your soul from the inside out, declaring that delay is finished, that excuses have expired, that the time to yield is now, and I tell you plainly, the pounding will not stop until you answer, for I am relentless in pursuit, determined in love, unyielding in mercy, and my desire is not to frighten you but to save you. Yet I warn you with gravity, the pounding that is mercy today will feel like judgment tomorrow if you keep refusing to open. For I cannot knock endlessly, and the day will come when silence replaces the pounding, and that silence will be unbearable, for it will mean the opportunity has passed. And I, who longed to enter, was left outside, and so I plead with you, open now, while my spirit still presses. Open now, while the pounding still echoes. Open now, while the urgency still burns. For if you keep resisting, your ears will grow dull, your heart will grow numb, and what once shook you will no longer move you. And that is the most dangerous place to be, for a numb heart no longer hears, and a deaf spirit no longer responds. And I will not allow you to drift there without warning you first, and so I send my spirit to pound harder, to shake you more fiercely, to disrupt your comfort until you yield, because I love you too much to let you perish in apathy. And even as I speak now, you feel that pressing within, the holy unrest that will not let you stay the same, and that is my spirit, living, breathing, contending for you, refusing to quit, for I have invested blood in your rescue, and I will not surrender easily. And I declare with urgency, you must open before the pounding ceases. You must yield before the knocking ends. You must respond before the silence falls, because what is happening now is sacred, what is stirring in you is holy, and what you feel shaking your inner being is not random emotion but the eternal Spirit of God demanding space in your life. And I will not step back until you decide, for this is the moment of surrender. This is the hour of yielding. This is the time to throw open the door and let me in. And if you do, the pounding will become peace, the shaking will become rest, the unrest will become joy. But if you resist, the pounding will one day stop, and the silence that follows will be heavier than any storm you've ever faced. So I cry to you now. My spirit is pounding, 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 and you must not delay in answering. Since the pounding of my spirit has struck your soul so fiercely, You must now see what lies just beyond the surface, for there is a battle already raging above your head, invisible to the natural eye yet more real than the ground beneath your feet. And while you go about your days thinking you face only ordinary struggles, there are unseen armies clashing for the direction of your life. Angels wielding light against forces of corruption that seek to bind you tighter with every hesitation. And though you cannot hear the clash of swords or see the sparks of collision, the turbulence you feel within is evidence of the war in the heavens surrounding you. And I tell you this because I do not want you deceived into thinking your decisions exist in isolation, for every choice you make sends ripples into this battle, strengthening either the kingdom of light or the dominion of darkness. And that is why the pressure feels unbearable at times, because the adversary knows his hold is loosening and he wages with greater fury to stop you from answering my call. Yet at the same time, my angels, fierce and unyielding, fight on your behalf, waiting for your surrender to release even greater strength into their mission. And child, I reveal this so you will grasp the urgency of what weighs on this hour, because when you hesitate, darkness rejoices. But when you yield, light multiplies, and though this war is unseen, its effects spill into your visible world. The sudden fear that grips you at night, the heaviness that lingers in your chest, the confusion that clouds your mind, these are not just emotions, but arrows from an enemy desperate to silence your ear before you awaken. Yet even as they fly, my protection surrounds you, and I have not left you defenseless, for my presence stands between you and destruction. But you must recognize that neutrality is not an option, for to stand idle is to give ground, and to delay is to let the shadows advance, and I am opening your eyes so you will no longer lie unaware. So you will rise with the understanding that your surrender is not a small personal step, but a weapon that shifts the battlefield. And I assure you that when you open fully to me, legions of light are empowered to scatter the darkness that presses against you. For this battle is not won by human strength, but by obedience that unlocks heaven's authority. And I call you to see that the weight you feel, the resistance pressing hard against your soul, is not proof that you are failing, but proof that you are valuable, targeted because of what you carry, fought over because of the destiny I placed in you before you breathed your first breath. And the reason the enemy surrounds you with such intensity is because he fears what will happen the moment you say yes to me without reservation. For he knows the power of one surrendered life. He knows the terror that fills hell when a child yields completely. And I will not allow you to remain blind to this any longer. So I speak plainly. You are in the middle of a war. Heaven is fighting for you. Hell is clawing at you, and this very hour your decision tips the balance. So do not shrink back. Do not think lightly of what is at stake. For eternity itself bends close to watch how you will respond in this battle raging unseen but pressing upon your life now. Since you now see that the invisible war surrounds you and presses for your response, I must show you that every choice you make in this hour carries consequences that stretch far beyond the moment. For nothing you decide is small when eternity leans upon it. And what seems like a simple yes or no, a single step toward me or away from me, ripples outward into futures you cannot yet see, shaping paths for you and for those connected to you. And this is why I say with unshakable urgency that the decisions you are making in this short span will ripple into eternity itself. For the unseen kingdom measures obedience not in convenience but in eternal weight. And the reason you feel such pressing heaviness inside is because heaven knows the magnitude of this moment. And though you may feel like you are only one person hidden in a vast world, I tell you, child, that the ripple of your surrender carries power to affect generations, to open doors for others, to shift atmospheres around you. And conversely, the ripple of your refusal hardens patterns not only in your life, but also in those who watch you, those influenced by you, those whom you may never even meet yet who are bound to the consequences of your choices. And this is why I will not let you treat this moment lightly, for I see the eternal thread stretched from your present into the unending future, and I declare with seriousness, your yes will not vanish into silence but will resound in heaven's records as an eternal decree, while your no will not be forgotten but will echo as a misalignment that cannot be undone. And I want you to feel the weight of this reality, not to crush you, but to awaken you, because I love you too much to let you imagine your choices are without significance. And I reveal to you that while men look at moments as temporary, I weigh them as eternal. And this is why I have pressed you so urgently, because what you choose in this hour will be spoken of in eternity. whether as the moment you aligned with me and released rivers of blessing, or as the moment you hardened your heart and chained yourself to regret. And I do not say this as threat, but as truth. For eternity bears witness, angels take record, demons tremble, and heaven waits for the sound of your decision. And I tell you, beloved, that even as I speak now, the ripple begins to form, even before you act. For your heart posture releases waves into the unseen, and this is why I cry with such force. Do not waste this moment, for what you decide now determines whether the ripples of your life will carry life or carry loss, whether they will open doors of glory or close them in despair. And I long for you to see that you are not small in my eyes. Your decision is not insignificant. Your yes matters to heaven. Your surrender changes history. And though the world may never notice, eternity does, and all of creation waits in tension to see what will flow from this very choice. And I remind you again with piercing clarity, your decisions in this span will ripple into eternity, and you cannot take them back once they are made. So yield to me now, before regret becomes the only echo you hear forever. Since I have unveiled to you that every decision sends waves that shape eternity, hear this next truth with trembling seriousness. I am warning you with love before justice thunders without pause, for mercy speaks first, compassion stretches wide, and grace extends itself as invitation. But when that voice is ignored, judgment rises, and I will not hold back what must come to awaken a stubborn heart, because I am both the lamb and the lion, both savior and judge, and I do not contradict myself, for I give space for surrender. I call again and again. I knock at the gates of your soul until they shake. Yet there comes a point when rejection of my mercy leaves only one response: the roar of justice, the weight of consequence, the crash of what you thought would never fall. And I speak this now because I long to spare you from that storm. I long to cover you beneath the shadow of my wings before the sky splits with thunder. But if you insist on delay, if you persist in ignoring my warnings, then the very mercy that covered you will become the testimony that condemns you. For the record will show that I reached, I cried, I pleaded, I stretched my hand, and you chose to turn away. And then what remains is justice, sharp and unrelenting, falling not because I desire your ruin, but because righteousness demands response. And I tell you, child, the thunder of justice is heavier than you imagine. It does not come as whispers, but as crashing waves that break the proud. It does not tap gently, but shakes violently, leaving no doubt that heaven's patience was tested too long. And though I delight in mercy, I will not mock my Father's holiness by allowing rebellion to go unchallenged forever. So I declare with urgency, do not force my hand to roar when you still have the chance to rest in my embrace. Do not wait for the hammer to fall when the door of grace still stands open. For this is why I speak before justice comes, to give you clarity, to stir you awake, to remove every excuse, because when judgment falls, it will be swift, it will be undeniable, and it will be final for those who harden themselves. And I do not reveal this to frighten, but to rescue, to awaken you to the reality that I am not only offering comfort, but calling for holy fear. For the fear of the Lord is clean and pure, and it drives out the arrogance that thinks you can live as you please without consequence. And I say with piercing love, now is the time to bow while mercy still shields you. Now is the time to yield while grace still holds back the storm. Now is the time to weep and open before the thunder rolls. For I assure you, once it comes, you will not stop it. Once it roars, you will not silence it. And the only refuge in that day will be the surrender you gave before it arrived. So I cry to you, hear the warning of mercy before justice thunders. Hear the cry of love before holiness roars, and do not delay. For what comes next is not gentle but fierce, and only those hidden in me will stand when it falls. Since I have warned you that mercy speaks before justice roars, I now reveal what is unfolding even as these words strike your heart. A separation is taking place, a dividing line drawn not by human hands but by the decree of heaven. For I am marking those who respond and distinguishing them from those who harden themselves. And this is not a distant prophecy, but a present reality, happening in the unseen even now, as my spirit moves across the earth to sift, to weigh, to separate, to identify those whose ears are open and those whose hearts remain sealed. And I tell you plainly, child, you cannot stand in the middle when the line is drawn, for neutrality will vanish, compromise will be exposed, and every hidden motive will be laid bare. And I am watching carefully, discerning whether you will be found among the ones awake or the ones asleep, among the ones surrendered or the ones indifferent, and this separation is not cruel but necessary. For I will not mingle light with darkness. I will not call slumber obedience. I will not confuse indifference with surrender. So I speak with urgency. Choose now where you will stand, for my spirit is dividing those who belong fully to me from those who only claim me with their lips. And as this line sharpens, you will feel the tension increase. You will see relationships shift. You will notice atmospheres change, because the separation that is happening in the unseen will soon manifest in the visible, and you will not be able to deny it. For I am preparing a people who will burn with devotion, and I am exposing a people who refuse to leave their slumber, and the difference will be undeniable. And while you may think you can hide in the crowd, I tell you that my eyes pierce the multitude and see the truth of your heart. And I am not fooled by outward appearance or empty words. I am weighing sincerity. I am testing loyalty. I am discerning posture. And this separation is not delayed. It is happening in this very hour. And I am calling you to recognize it, to align yourself before you find yourself on the wrong side of the line. For when the shaking intensifies, it will be too late to switch sides, and your position will be revealed for all to see. So I cry with holy urgency, awaken, 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 for the Spirit is moving like a sifting wind, blowing away the chaff, exposing what is false, confirming what is true. And this is not something you can postpone dealing with, for the decision is being weighed even now, and I long for you to be found among those awake, those surrendered, those burning with oil in their lamps, ready for my arrival. But I will not force you. I will not drag you, for love demands choice, and choice demands clarity, and clarity demands decision. And this is the decision I place before you in this very moment. Will you be among those who hear and respond, or among those who turn away and sleep? For the line is drawn, the separation is happening, and your heart is being revealed as heaven watches closely to record where you stand. Since I have shown you that the line of separation is being drawn, and hearts are being revealed, I must uncover the strategy of the adversary who studies your weakness and waits for hesitation. For he prowls with patience, watching for the cracks you leave unguarded, seeking the moments when distraction dulls your spirit. And though he cannot overpower the one who clings to me, he strikes quickly when you lower your guard. And this is why I am offering you armor in this very hour, protection forged not by human strength but by divine power. And if you will take it up, no scheme of the enemy can prevail. But if you ignore it, every uncovered place becomes an open doorway for him to strike, and I will not allow you to remain unaware. So I reveal his schemes clearly. He whispers lies to erode your confidence. He stirs fear to paralyze your steps. He cloaks temptation in false sweetness to make you stumble willingly. Yet all of it is exposed under my light. For I am not leaving you vulnerable. I am equipping you. I am clothing you with truth that cannot be shaken, with righteousness that shields your heart, with peace that steadies your feet, with faith that extinguishes every flaming arrow, with salvation that guards your mind, and with my word that cuts through every deception. And I say to you with urgency, do not leave yourself uncovered. Do not walk casually in this battle. Do not assume strength apart from me, for the adversary waits for such pride to entangle you. But I am calling you to stand in armor that has already proven unbreakable, and this armor is not heavy but fitted perfectly to those who surrender fully. And I urge you now, put it on, wear it daily, stand firm in it, for your survival in this war depends on it. And I warn you that the enemy has increased his schemes in this hour, because he knows the separation is being revealed and his time is short. And he has studied the patterns of your life, the places where you hesitate, the words you believe, the fears you feed, and he aims his arrows at those very spots. But I declare that none of his weapons will succeed if you stay covered in me, for I am your shield, I am your defender, I am your fortress. Yet you must choose to step into my protection, and I tell you again with sharpness, do not underestimate his persistence, for he waits longer than you realize. But also do not underestimate my power, for I have already crushed his authority, and every arrow he fires is rendered useless when you stand fully clothed in what I give. And I reveal this not to frighten you but to awaken you, because I want you equipped, I want you prepared, I want you unshakable, and I am pressing this truth into your spirit with urgency. The enemy studies your weakness, but I am offering you strength. He seeks to bind you, but I am giving you freedom. He desires to destroy, but I am building you unbreakable. And if you will step into my armor, you will stand in the storm. You will walk through fire untouched. You will advance when others fall. For I am with you, I am in you, and I will not let the schemes of hell triumph over the one who chooses to be fully clothed in me. The pounding of battle in the unseen and the weight of armor I have placed before you should tell you how close destiny is to tipping, for my voice trembles with urgency because the scale of eternity is shifting in this very hour, and your response carries more weight than you understand. And while the world around you moves as though nothing unusual is happening, I reveal that the balance of your life and future hangs on the edge, and one decision is enough to tilt it fully into light or plunge it deeper into shadow. And this is why my words strike with such fire, because the moment is not casual but critical, and the trembling you feel in your spirit is the witness of heaven's nearness, the holy pressure that comes when destiny hovers at a breaking point. And though you may tell yourself that you have felt conviction before, I assure you that what presses on you now is sharper, heavier, more immediate, because it is not a passing call but a decisive one. And if you treat it lightly, you will miss the weight of what eternity is arranging on your behalf. For I am ready to release breakthroughs long held back, blessings long prepared, and callings long written with your name upon them. But all of it hangs in this moment, and I do not speak this as exaggeration. I speak it as truth that shakes even the heavens, because the balance of destiny does not remain neutral. It tips one way or the other, and it is your surrender that determines the direction, and I will not allow you to dismiss it. For the trembling of my voice now is the announcement that this is the hour of tipping. This is the moment of decision, and you cannot stand on both sides any longer, for neutrality collapses under the weight of destiny, and I tell you plainly, if you yield, you will see doors open that no power can shut. You will walk in assignments that terrify the enemy. You will carry light that pierces realms you never imagined. But if you resist, the balance tips toward delay, regret, and loss, and the opportunities prepared for this season will pass into the hands of others, and the joy meant for you will be stolen, not because I willed it, but because you refused to step into alignment. And so I cry with trembling passion, awaken, for the tipping point is here, the scales are moving, the books are open, and the cry of heaven demands your ear. And I assure you, child, that I do not tremble in vain. I tremble because the seriousness of this moment burns hotter than fire, because what unfolds in the unseen will soon be visible in your reality, and the path you walk tomorrow will be shaped by the choice you make now. So feel the trembling of my voice as the proof of love, as the alarm of destiny, as the echo of eternity pulling at your spirit, and do not dismiss it, for the balance is moving even as you hear these words, and your surrender is the only weight strong enough to tilt it fully into life. The weight of the tipping scales cannot be ignored, and now I confront you with clarity. You cannot balance me and the world any longer, for this hour demands choice, and compromise has reached its end. And though you have tried to walk with one foot in my light and one foot in the shadows, I tell you with holy fire that the middle ground is dissolving, and neutrality is vanishing before your eyes. For the separation I revealed is sharpening, and it exposes every double-minded path, and I will not allow you to remain half-given, half-surrendered, half-obedient, for my kingdom is not built on fragments of loyalty. It is built on whole hearts burning fully, and the urgency you feel pressing on your chest is my spirit declaring that this is the hour of decision, that divided devotion cannot stand in what is coming, and while you may have thought you could blend your affections, that you could love me while still bowing to the world's altars, I reveal that such compromise is poison to your soul, and it has dulled your hunger, blurred your vision, and robbed you of peace. But I speak with authority to break the chains of divided loyalty, declaring that you must decide where you will stand, and I make it clear. I will not share my throne with idols. I will not split my covenant with your distractions. I will not accept fragments when I poured out my life completely, and I say this not to condemn you but to free you from the prison of half-heartedness. For you have tasted enough of me to know I am real, yet you have held on to enough of the world to keep yourself bound, and that tension has left you weary, restless, torn, and confused. But I tell you, the unrest you feel is the mercy of my Spirit, exposing that you cannot live divided anymore, and I am calling you to step fully into devotion, to release what clings to you, to burn what chains you, to leave what entangles you. And though it will cost you, the cost of compromise is far greater. For compromise leaves you powerless, voiceless, and empty when the storm rises. But full surrender makes you unshakable, unmovable, and filled with fire. And so I press with sharpness. You must choose, child. You must draw the line in your own heart. You must decide whom you will serve. For the next wave of shaking will expose every divided soul, and those who tried to straddle the line will fall hardest. But those who stand fully with me will shine brightest, and I long for you to be among the latter. I long for you to walk in the fullness prepared for you. But I will not force you, for love demands choice, and the choice demanded now is total, not partial, full, not fragmented, and I declare to you with the fire of eternity. You cannot balance me and the world. This hour demands choice, and your answer now will define the path before you. The demand for an undivided choice presses even deeper now, for I will not let your wandering go unchallenged, because your life matters too much to me to watch it drift aimlessly into ruin. And though others may ignore your destiny, I do not, for I crafted you with intention before the foundations of the world, and I inscribed your name in the story I am writing across eternity. And this is why I refuse to leave you in cycles of compromise. For every time you drift, I pursue. Every time you stumble, I call. Every time you attempt to silence me, I break through again, because my love is not weak but relentless, and I will confront every wandering step until you understand that I do not fight for you halfway. I do not bleed for you partially. I gave everything, and I will not be content with fragments of your devotion. And so when you feel disrupted, when you sense conviction pressing sharply, when your false comforts crumble, it is not because I have abandoned you, but because I am challenging the drift that would carry you away from life. For I know where that path ends. I see the destruction that lies at the end of compromise, and I will not stand by silently as you walk toward ruin. So I confront you now, declaring with holy seriousness, your wandering cannot go unchecked. Your divided steps cannot remain unchallenged. For I have called you to a higher place, a deeper life, a clear path, and though you may resist the confrontation, it is the very proof of my love, for indifference would leave you alone, but love refuses to, and I love you too much to let you be swallowed by what pretends to satisfy. So I am shaking your patterns, breaking your excuses, cutting through your false reasoning, because I want you free, and freedom does not come through wandering, it comes through surrender. And I am calling you now to see that I am not angry at you for your stumbles. I am jealous for your whole heart. I am unwilling to let the enemy write your ending. I am unwilling to let your destiny slip through the cracks of delay. And I will chase you into your wilderness if I must. I will confront you in your hiding places. I will whisper in the noise. I will shout in the silence, because I am determined that you will know I have claimed you, and you will not belong to the chains you cling to, for I have already paid for your release. And so I will not rest until you see that your wandering is a battle for your soul, and my pursuit is the proof of your worth. And I declare with fire, you cannot keep drifting without being confronted, for I will challenge every step that pulls you from me, and I will not stop pressing until you realize that the confrontation itself is my mercy, that my refusal to let you wander unbothered is the clearest evidence that your life matters more to me than you can comprehend. The confrontation of your wandering is not meant to crush you, but to awaken you to something deeper. For my wounds still speak, and they will not be silenced by indifference. And I need you to understand the weight of what they declare, because every scar etched into my body is a living testimony of love that did not turn away. And when you doubt your worth, when you question whether you matter, when you treat my call lightly, I point you back to the marks in my hands and feet, the spear scar in my side, the stripes carved into my back, for they are not forgotten relics but living voices crying out, this is what you meant to me. And though the world tries to drown them out with noise, they resound louder than every lie spoken over you, and they refuse to let your heart grow numb, because each wound is evidence that I endured what should have destroyed you. Each mark is proof that I carried the weight you could not bear, and when you wander, my wounds call you back. When you hesitate, they confront you. When you grow indifferent, they pierce your conscience with their cry, for I did not suffer in vain, and I will not allow you to treat the cross as casual, and I remind you with holy urgency. The blood I shed still flows with power, the pain I bore still releases healing, the death I endured still opens life, and my wounds remain as eternal testimony, crying louder than the voice of your failure, louder than the shame you carry, louder than the accusations of the enemy, and they will not be silenced until you yield, because they were not written on my body for decoration. They were inscribed for your redemption, and I show them to you now not as guilt but as invitation, to remind you that your wandering cannot erase the price already paid, your hesitation cannot diminish the value of the sacrifice, and your indifference cannot cancel the covenant sealed with blood, for my wounds remain as witnesses in heaven's court, and they declare continually that you are mine, that your life was purchased, that your soul has value no enemy can deny, and I speak this to you with fire. Do not silence what my wounds proclaim. Do not turn away from what they announce, for they cry day and night with the same truth, that your life cost everything, that you are not cheap, that you are not forgotten, and that I am unwilling to leave you in apathy, because the cross already proved my devotion, and the scars remain as eternal evidence that my love is stronger than death, louder than shame, and fiercer than every power that seeks to bind you. The voice of my wounds cannot be ignored, and from their cry comes a sharper reality. A sword of truth is moving through this very hour, cutting not softly, but with precision, exposing motives hidden deep where no one else has looked, and I tell you with unshakable seriousness that nothing will remain concealed, for the sword I carry is not dull or decorative. It is alive, sharp, double-edged, dividing what is genuine from what is false, and it moves first through your heart, separating what you claim with your lips from what you truly live. And though you have become skilled at hiding behind appearances, though you cover with words, actions, and masks that convince others, my truth pierces past the surface and reveals what lies underneath, and I warn you that this exposure is not optional, for the sword has already been unsheathed, and it slices between light and darkness, between loyalty and pretense, between devotion and convenience, and this is not to shame you but to save you, because what remains hidden will one day destroy you if it is not brought into light. And so I am cutting now before the wound becomes fatal. I am dividing now before the corruption spreads further, and the sting you feel when my word pierces you is not cruelty but mercy, for the cut is surgical, meant to heal, meant to free, meant to reveal what you could not confront on your own. And I tell you with urgency that you must not resist this cutting, for if you harden yourself against it, you will grow calloused, and truth will no longer pierce you, leaving you blind and bound. But if you yield to it, if you let the sword expose you, it will also cleanse you. It will also free you. It will also prepare you for the days ahead when deception rises stronger. For only those who allow my sword to work now will stand unshaken when falsehood spreads later. And I speak with piercing clarity. Do not fear what the sword reveals. Do not run from the discomfort of being exposed. For it is better to be wounded by truth than destroyed by lies. And the very cut you feel now is proof that I am still working on you, that I have not abandoned you, that I still see value in shaping you. And I declare with holy urgency that my sword will not return to its sheath until the dividing is complete, until what is false is removed, until what is true remains. And you must choose how you will respond. Will you resist and grow harder, or will you yield and be refined? For the sword is moving, and its edge will not be dulled by your indifference. Its strike will not be delayed by your excuses. For I am exposing every motive, every thought, every secret, not to condemn, but to redeem. And this moment is your chance to embrace truth fully, to let it cut what chains you, to let it sever what binds you, to let it separate what is holy from what is hollow. For this hour demands clarity, and clarity only comes by the edge of my sword. The sword of truth has already begun its work, and now I tell you plainly that I am sending a final knock before doors close tightly, for my spirit does not linger forever at thresholds left unanswered, and every beat against the door of your soul is filled with eternity's weight. Yet there comes a moment when the pounding shifts into silence, and silence is the greatest judgment of all, because it means the opportunity has passed. And I need you to grasp the seriousness of this. The sound you hear now, the pressing you feel now, the tugging you cannot explain now. These are the final knocks, and if you harden yourself against them, You will discover too late that what was once open has been sealed, and no effort, no cry, no desperate plea can pry it back apart. For when I close a door after extended mercy, it is closed with finality, and this is why I press so urgently. For my desire is not to shut you out, but to bring you in before it is too late. Yet the time of hesitation has already stretched longer than it should, and my patience, though deep, is not endless, for holiness requires closure when grace is trampled, and I tell you now with fire in my voice, do not mistake these knocks as casual. Do not brush them aside as ordinary conviction, for they are weighted with finality, and they are sounding louder because the threshold of delay is nearly crossed, and I reveal to you that once the door is shut, it will not be opened by pleading words or by regretful tears, for the season of invitation will have ended, and the record of your response will be sealed. And so I call you with urgency that shakes the heavens. Answer while the door is still ajar. Open while mercy still waits. Respond while the knocking still sounds. Because if you ignore it, the silence that follows will pierce you deeper than any storm. And I do not want you to taste that silence. I want you to know the joy of my presence filling your life. But you cannot know it if you let this last knock pass unanswered. For I am not offering endless attempts. I am offering a final one. And I am not playing with your soul. I am fighting for it. I am not speaking softly. I am roaring through the halls of your spirit because the hour is closing, the moment is narrowing, the window is shrinking, and I plead with you. Do not wait another breath to answer. Do not push this away until tomorrow. Do not gamble with eternity as though the door will remain open forever. For I tell you the truth. These are the final knocks, and once they cease, they will not return, and the weight of that silence will be unbearable. So respond now, before the door closes, before mercy shifts, before time runs out, for this is your moment, and the handle is in your hand. And I am pressing harder than ever before because this is the last call before the door seals shut. The urgency of my final knock should stir you, yet I see how easily your heart drifts back into noise, and I must tell you with unshakable seriousness that your distractions are stealing the very hour heaven prepared for breakthrough, and what you treat as harmless entertainment, endless busyness, and constant preoccupation are in truth thieves clothed in disguise, robbing you of the clarity I am offering right now. For the enemy does not always bind with chains that look frightening. Often he binds with comforts, with flashing lights, with shallow pursuits that keep your eyes turned away from what truly matters. And you do not realize how much has been lost because of it, how many doors were delayed, how many blessings were postponed, how many answers hovered just beyond reach while your mind was consumed elsewhere. And I say to you with holy intensity that the greatest danger in this hour is not always blatant rebellion but subtle distraction, the constant turning of your gaze away from my face toward things that cannot save you. And this is why I am pressing so fiercely now, because I see the opportunities prepared for you. I see the miracles waiting to be released. I see the breakthroughs that could shift your entire story. Yet I also see how quickly they can be stolen if you keep allowing distraction to reign. And I will not let you sleep through the hour heaven has marked as decisive. So I am cutting through your noise, disrupting your false comforts, shaking the things you thought were harmless, because I know they are robbing you of what matters most. And I tell you clearly, you cannot serve distraction and destiny at the same time. You cannot chase noise and hear my whisper. You cannot cling to trivialities and step into eternal weight. And though the world will applaud you for chasing after what is shallow, I am calling you higher. I am summoning you out of the swirl of endless preoccupation into the stillness where I speak, for only there will you see the fullness of what I have prepared. And I warn you with severity, if you continue to let distraction steal this hour, you will wake later to find that what was meant for you has passed into the hands of another, not because I rejected you, but because you refused to focus, and I do not want that for you, child. I long for you to claim the breakthrough written with your name on it, but you cannot claim it while your eyes wander endlessly. So I cry with urgency, cut away the noise, silence the voices that dull your hunger, step out of the whirlwind of trivialities, for your attention is the doorway to your destiny, and if you give it to fleeting things will be your portion, but if you give it to me, eternal glory will be released. So hear me now, distractions are thieves. They are robbing you even as you listen. But I am stronger than every thief, and I am standing before you demanding your attention, because this is the hour of breakthrough, and I will not let you miss it unless you choose to. The warning against distractions must be heeded, for I tell you with solemn truth that if you do not silence the noise, it will swallow my whisper, and this is why I plead with you to remove the clamor before it drowns the very guidance your soul cries out for, because my voice does not compete endlessly with chaos. It waits for the posture of listening, and though I can thunder, I often choose to speak in stillness, yet you cannot perceive stillness while every corner of your mind is occupied with endless noise, and so I am calling you to cut it off, to step away, to create sacred space, for without it you will miss the very direction you asked me for. And I reveal to you now that the emptiness you feel at times is not because I am absent, but because you have filled your ears with so much clutter that my words cannot be distinguished from the flood of voices surrounding you. And I warn you with seriousness. The enemy's strategy in this hour is not always to destroy you outright, but to drown you in volume until you can no longer hear the still, sharp voice that saves you. And I will not let you live deaf to eternity without first confronting you. So I declare with urgency, remove the noise before it swallows my whisper. Remove the distractions before they suffocate your clarity. Remove the unnecessary before it buries the eternal. For what I long to release into your life can only be received in stillness, in focus, in surrender, and you will never know the fullness of my guidance if you refuse to clear the clutter. And I tell you plainly that many have missed entire seasons of destiny, not because I did not speak, but because they refused to silence what drowned me out. And I do not want this to be your story, so I strike with urgency now, demanding your attention, commanding you to create room for me, to open space that cannot be invaded by constant distraction. And though it will feel costly to step away, the cost of ignoring this is far greater. For if you do not silence the noise, you will drift in confusion, stumble in blindness, and find yourself lost when clarity was within reach. But if you will heed me, if you will carve out the silence, if you will honor the whisper, then you will discover answers that no storm can shake, peace that no chaos can steal, direction that no light can cloud, and strength that no distraction can weaken. And I press you with urgency to act now, for the window is open, but it will not remain forever. And if you allow the noise to win, you will regret deeply that you did not clear space when the Spirit pressed hardest. So I plead with you, do not delay. Remove the noise now. Make room now. Let go now. For my whisper is not faint because it is weak, but because it is holy, and holiness demands attention. And I am speaking with urgency because the breakthrough you long for will not come through shouting voices, but through the still, piercing word I long to release, but only if you silence what fights to bury it. The call to silence the noise brings you face to face with another sobering truth. You think you are strong enough to stand on your own, but I must reveal with piercing clarity that one storm is enough to undo you if you are not anchored in me. For human resilience, no matter how disciplined or determined, cannot withstand the full force of the spiritual winds that rage against your destiny. And though you may believe your willpower is enough, I tell you it is fragile, like a thin wall before a hurricane, and the storm will test it, expose it, and shatter it unless your foundation is hidden in my presence. And this is why I confront you now. For too long you have leaned on your own strength. Too long you have trusted in your strategies. Too long you have thought that intellect, routine, or self-control could protect you. But I assure you, they will fail in the hour of shaking, and you will see that only those rooted in me will remain. And I say this not to belittle you, but to awaken you. For the greatest deception of this age is convincing my children they are strong enough without me. Yet I remind you that apart from me you can do nothing, and storms are rising that will prove this. Storms designed not only to test, but to reveal what foundation you truly stand upon. And if that foundation is not my word, my spirit, and my covenant, then the collapse will be swift, and the ruin will be great. And I do not want that for you, which is why I press with urgency. Stop pretending you are unshakable. Admit your weakness. Lean into my strength, for I am the only anchor that holds when everything else breaks apart. And I reveal to you that storms do not come to destroy those who are surrendered. They come to reveal the strength of the one who holds them. And if you hide in me, the winds that undo others will only deepen your roots. The waves that drown others will lift you higher. The shaking that ruins others will refine you. But if you remain outside my covering, you will discover quickly that the enemy does not need much to bring you down. Only one storm timed perfectly, only one blow when your guard is lowered, and all that you thought you had built will crumble in moments, and I cannot allow you to keep believing the lie that you are strong enough. So I strip away the illusion now and declare with love sharper than fire, you are not strong enough, but I am. You cannot withstand the storm, but I already calm seas with my voice. You cannot fight the winds, but I command them with a word, and I am offering you the safety of my covering before the full force arrives. So do not delay, do not hesitate, do not deceive yourself with false strength, for the hour of testing is here, and only those who lean on me will remain unshaken when the storm unleashes its fury. The storm that exposes false strength also reveals this deeper call. I am not inviting you into comfort, but into awakening that burns. For the path I set before you is not paved with ease but with fire that purifies. And I will not let you settle into lukewarm living when I created you to blaze with holy intensity. And though you may long for safety without cost, I tell you the truth, safety without surrender is an illusion. And what I am offering you is not escape from trial but transformation through it. A fire that strips away what cannot last and ignites what the world cannot extinguish. And this is why you feel unrest when you try to live halfway. For your soul was not made for half-light. It was made to burn fully. And the ache inside of you is the testimony that you were created for more than shallow devotion, more than cold religion, more than empty motions. And I declare with urgency that now is the hour of awakening. Now is the time to let the embers catch. Now is the moment to yield fully so my spirit can set your life ablaze. And though the fire feels dangerous, though it feels consuming, it is not meant to destroy you but to refine you, to burn away what chains you, to sear off what entangles you, to leave only purity, clarity, and strength that cannot be shaken. And I press you with holy seriousness. Do not resist this burning. Do not run from the heat. Do not cling to what the flame exposes, for if you allow it, you will rise from the fire radiant, filled with light that pierces darkness, carrying power that no adversary can withstand. But if you resist, you will remain cold, lifeless, numbed by compromise, and you will never taste the fullness of what I designed for you. And I will not allow you to stay asleep in such a critical hour. So I send this fire now, and it is pressing against your soul, urging you to awaken, and you must decide whether you will surrender to its purifying blaze or continue in lukewarmness that will one day spit you out of the safety you think you possess. For I do not call you to halfway devotion. I call you to all-consuming love. I call you to radical surrender. I call you to awakening that burns. And I speak this with urgency because I know the hour. I know the deception rising. I know the darkness growing. And only those burning with me will endure. Only those aflame will shine. Only those alive in fire will overcome. So hear me. I am not offering you comfort. I am offering you awakening, and it is burning even now, pressing into your spirit, demanding your yes, and I will not relent until you either quench it or surrender fully. For this fire is the proof that I have not left you in coldness. It is the sign that I am still pursuing you, and I cry out with intensity, let yourself burn. Let yourself awaken. Let yourself blaze with my spirit. For this is the hour, and nothing less will keep you standing when the final shaking comes. The fire of awakening I have called you into is not only for your heart, but also for the record of heaven. For the moments you live now are being inscribed, and I tell you with holy seriousness that the heavens have recorded this very moment, marking it as weighty, sacred, and eternal. And every response you give, whether surrender or resistance, is being written in books that cannot be erased. For nothing escapes the eyes of the one who sees all. And while you may forget the urgency you feel now, the record will not forget, the angels will not forget, and eternity itself will not forget, because this hour is not like others. It is an hour set apart. And I want you to grasp that your choices here are not fading actions but eternal testimonies. They are lines written into the history of heaven itself. And when you think no one notices your wrestle, I assure you that the unseen realm is watching, that your name is being spoken, that your response is being measured. And I press this on you with fire because the weight of this reality is not small, it is eternal. And I refuse to let you treat it casually. For every whisper of obedience, every cry of surrender, Every breaking of pride is noted and honored, just as every moment of hesitation, every turning away, every dismissal of my call is also recorded, and this is not to paralyze you with fear but to awaken you to truth. For the heavens are not silent observers. They are active witnesses, and they are leaning in now to see how you will respond to the fire that presses, to the voice that calls, to the urgency that shakes your chest. And I tell you, child, that even creation itself groans in expectation for your decision, because your life carries significance greater than you imagine, and it is being documented as proof, as testimony, as evidence of whether you aligned with light or with shadow. And I speak this plainly so you cannot say you did not know, for I am telling you now, what you do in this moment will echo in eternity, and the record will remain, and I long for your record to resound with surrender, with faith, with obedience that shines before my Father's throne. But I will not force the entry to be written in that way. You decide, you shape it, you determine it, and this is why I confront you with intensity, because heaven is watching, the scroll is open, the ink is ready, and what is inscribed from this hour will not be erased. And I cry out with urgency, let your response be a testimony of surrender. Let your obedience be the story heaven writes. Let your yes be the sound that fills eternity. For I have marked this hour as holy, and it is being recorded even now. And I will not let you stand before me unaware that this was the moment when the heavens wrote your response into the eternal story of your soul. The testimony written in heaven's books is alive even now, and from that reality I must tell you with the utmost seriousness, my mercy is extended, but it is not endless, and the patience you have relied on as though it could never run out is drawing to a close. For love gives time, but holiness sets boundaries, and though I have waited, pursued, and called you again and again, I will not allow my sacrifice to be treated as casual forever, and I need you to feel the urgency of this truth. The river of mercy flows wide, but it does not flow without banks, and when those banks are crossed, the flood shifts into judgment. And I say this not to crush you, but to awaken you before that line is crossed, for the hours of delay have already stretched long, and heaven's calendar is moving, and you cannot hold it back. And while you still have breath, there is mercy within reach. But I will not leave you with the illusion that grace can be ignored without consequence, for to ignore it is to despise it, and to despise it is to place yourself under the weight of justice without covering, and I do not want you to taste that weight, which is why I am crying with such intensity now, because I know the limit approaches, and I know how quickly the door can swing shut, and when it does, no man, no angel, no cry can reopen what my Father has sealed, and I long for you to respond while the door is still open, while the blood still covers, while the invitation still stands, because when the moment ends, the record will show you chose delay over surrender, and delay will become your downfall. And I tell you with fire that this is not the hour to gamble with endless chances, for the chances are not endless, they are appointed, and they are almost finished. And I press you with holy urgency. Act while mercy is stretched wide, answer while grace still calls, return while my hand is still extended. For though I have been patient beyond measure, though I have carried your resistance with long-suffering love, I will not carry it forever, and the line is closer than you realize. The hour is nearer than you think, and the end of delay is coming swifter than you expect. So I plead with you, do not test the boundaries of mercy. Do not assume you can turn later. Do not think you can wait until it feels easier. For every moment you wait hardens the heart, blinds the eyes, and numbs the spirit, until even my mercy sounds like noise, and I warn you in love. If you let that happen, you will discover too late that the endless patience you assumed was never-ending has reached its holy conclusion, and then what remains is not invitation but consequence, not covering but exposure, not mercy but judgment, and I do not want that to be your story, which is why I am pressing you with this truth now. My mercy is extended, but it is not endless, and now is the time to receive it fully before it is gone. The nearness of the end of mercy brings me to declare with even sharper urgency that this is not only about your soul but about the generation tied to your response, for every life touches countless others, and the decision you make in this hour will set a chain reaction in motion, either unleashing freedom or multiplying captivity. And I need you to feel the weight of this, because eternity does not measure choices only by individual consequence but by ripple effect. and your yes to me has the power to break curses that have strangled your family line for decades, to unlock blessings that were held in suspension waiting for your surrender, to shift the spiritual climate around you in ways you cannot yet see, and likewise, your refusal feeds the cycle of darkness, allowing patterns of bondage to spread to those around you. And I refuse to let you dismiss this as if it concerns only yourself. For I created you with influence, whether seen or unseen, and others are watching, others are following, others are being shaped by what you choose. And I tell you this with trembling seriousness. The decision you make is not isolated, it is generational. And this is why I am pressing harder than ever, because I see the children, the families, the friends, the strangers who will either rise because of your obedience or stumble because of your silence. And I do not want the testimony of your life to be that you handed down chains instead of freedom, delay instead of destiny, silence instead of surrender. So I urge you with holy passion, break the cycle here, end the wandering here, stop the compromise here, and let your life become the doorway through which heaven enters your family, your community, your generation. For this is bigger than you, and it is unfolding now, and you must not wait another day to decide, because the ripple has already begun, and your hesitation feeds darkness, but your surrender empowers light, and angels are waiting, watching, positioned to act the moment you align, while demons tremble, fearing the breakthrough that your yes will unleash. And I tell you clearly, what you choose is not only written in heaven's record, it will also be echoed in the lives that come after you. For generations will either thank you for the door you opened or grieve the chains you left unbroken. And I cry out with urgency, choose life, choose surrender, choose obedience, for the hour has come when the weight of your decision tips not only your destiny, but the destinies of many tied to you. And I assure you with fire, this is your moment to release blessing instead of curse, light instead of darkness, freedom instead of bondage. And I long for you to see that your yes will ripple farther than you imagine, farther than your eyes can see, and will echo into eternity as the moment when heaven broke through because you surrendered fully. So I press you one last time in this flow of truth. Do not waste this hour. Do not pass this weight to another. Do not let hesitation rob those connected to you of the breakthrough I am ready to release through your life. For this is the hour. This is the decision. This is the moment that will echo through generations. And I am standing at the threshold waiting for your surrender, for your yes, for your alignment. And when you yield, the chain reaction of glory will begin. Unstoppable, undeniable, eternal. Amen.